Traffic! Hey, do you want to know about all the really annoying traffic intersections in Virginia Beach? Well, that's what we're talking about today, and we're starting right now. Hey, my name is Sansalone, and I'm a real estate agent in Hampton Roads, Virginia. And if it's your first time here, welcome. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification also, and you'll get notified every time that I do a video, and it's about Hampton Roads and about real estate in Hampton Roads. And today we're talking about roads, the most annoying intersections in Virginia Beach. Now, this is an intensely controversial topic. It brings up a lot of emotions and energy from lots of people. I actually asked a lot of my friends and people I know in Virginia Beach as to what they thought were some of the most annoying and the worst intersections in Virginia Beach, and got some great feedback too. So this is helpful, especially if you plan on moving here, because then you kind of know where the most intense places are in the area to drive. These are not in order. Number one, the intersection at Laskin Road and First Colonial Road. This is closer to the beach on the eastern side of Virginia Beach. You've got two big roads that come together right there. Hilltop is a shopping center that is right next to Laskin Road, and so you've got a ton of cars on Laskin Road. It's one of the most congested roads in the area. Well, if you introduce First Colonial Road to Laskin Road, you've got a really congested intersection. Because not only is this congested because there's just so many cars and lots of lanes, but there are also feeder lanes on Laskin Road. Feeder lanes are kind of like they say feeder because you can kind of get on those roads to get off of the main road into a shopping center. But they're super annoying, they're really old fashioned, and the feeder lanes are so uncommon that it makes people uncomfortable. And so there's lots of activity, plenty of accidents because of these. So all of this action kind of culminates at the Laskin Road, First Colonial Road intersection. Can you avoid this intersection? I guess you could, but because it is the primary artery to multiple areas, north, south, east, and west in the area, it's very hard to on a regular basis. And number two is one of the many interstate exits that are incredibly annoying. One is the Witch Duck Road exit off of 264 East. So the way that the Witch Duck Road exit works is once you get off of 264, you curve around Cloverleaf, so to speak, and you can go straight, you can go left, and you can go right. Well, if you go straight, there's a light for that. If you go left, there's a light for that. And if you go right, there's a light for that. That's wonderful. However, a lot of the problem comes, it's a little bit confusing, and when you're veering right onto what's called Witch Duck Road, you have to merge onto Witch Duck Road from that stoplight. And because there are so many cars coming off the exit, and there are cars, a lot of them coming on Witch Duck Road, it makes for a real tricky merge because there's not a lot of space. Also, Witch Duck Road itself is not very wide, so you have a lot of cars on Witch Duck Road already that back up, and then you add all the traffic coming off of the interstate onto this exit. It makes for a complicated mess. It's not super confusing as much as it is annoying. Henry, no. Another exit, Northampton, going to Interstate 64 East and West. So when you're on Northampton Boulevard, which is on the northwestern side of Virginia Beach, and you're going west towards the interstate. So the backups here start way back. People get in the far right lanes and they wait and they try and merge onto the interstate because there's access to both directions on Interstate 64 from these lanes. So a lot of people want to get over there early to get on the exits. Well, what happens? It backs up because there aren't many lanes that go to either side. One goes to 64 going west. The bigger problem to me is 64 east. So when you're in those far right lanes and you go to 64 east, you're going you veer right and then you kind of veer all the way left and you kind of curve almost to a 90-degree angle all the way around up onto the 64 east exit. And that whole thing backs up. So you've got cars coming from 64 already. Now you've got to merge on the 64 east, but that long ramp is so long, and so there's so many cars that back up on that ramp. The backup starts on 64 when it merges, and it goes all the way back onto Northampton. But I've tried to avoid this interchange as many times as possible by taking back roads, which can be done, and there are certain ways around to different parts of the city, but sometimes you just got to do it and suck it up. So rush hour in this one is really annoying. And if you notice a pattern here, Interstate 64 and 264, the exits to get onto Virginia Beach roads are not, they're the worst. because there's another one on Indian River Road. Indian River Road and I-64 going east. The exit's 286B. This exit puts you onto Indian River Road. Because Indian River Road is so congested already, it's incredible. It's so full, especially during rush hour, like 4:25, 4:35 to about 5:35. But anyways, so you take that exit and you have to merge onto the slow moving traffic on Indian River Road. That road's backed up as it is, so you're trying to merge onto that, of course, because there's backups on Indian River, there's backups on the ramp and backups all the way into 64 through the exit. Now, I want to focus on two specific intersections or exits that are possibly like legendary bad. One is the Independence Boulevard exit that you take off of 264 East. Where do I start? Well, if you're on 264 East, you're headed towards the beach, and you've got to take the Independence Boulevard exit. Well, this one takes you towards Town Center. During rush hour time, you get off the exit, and it's a cloverleaf. If you don't know a lot about cloverleafs, there are a lot of cloverleafs here. It's basically you exit off and you curl around like a cloverleaf. You look at a cloverleaf and you go around and it spits you essentially towards the left if you're facing the exit. So you take this exit, and once you get off the exit, you curl around and you look and you see, oh, I've got to merge over. Well, there are cars coming towards you on the lane that you have to merge into. Well, they're trying to get over, you're trying to get over also. Well, the problem is that there's only one lane and there's a lot of cars on that lane. So you've got to get over in the midst of a lot of cars. But in addition to that, you've got cars coming from 264 West off of the interstate to Independence, and you've got to merge in with them also. In addition, look to the left, you'll see multiple lanes blocked by a barricade between those lanes and the lane that you're in. So you're looking and you're like, okay, should I go straight? Can I go straight? Do I have to veer right? So then you're like, okay, well, if you're going straight, you think, okay, well, there's lanes over there, there's a lane in front of you. What's the difference? Well, there's not really much of a difference. But if you turn right onto what's called Bonnie Road, you have to veer into the lane that the exit ramp is coming off of. Well, then on top of that, you've got all those cars in the lanes in the middle of Independence that have to merge over in front of you, and sometimes all the way over to make that right turn. And then if you've got to merge all the way over and make a left turn at any of the stops on Independence, you've got to cut across several lanes as they're trying to cut over or go straight. So this is all a bunch of a convoluted mess. People are just trying to figure out what to do. They're thinking about it as they're driving, but they're trying to navigate all this in rush hour and also trying to get somewhere quick. What happens? The cars back up on the 264, and now there's a backup on the interstate because of this exit. So you go from going 65, 55 miles an hour to almost a complete stop, and you're just waiting on this exit for minutes. I say minutes, 10, 15, 20 minutes sometimes. You're just waiting because it's rush hour and everybody's trying to do all this craziness at the same time. And not to mention, before that, the intersection at Bonnie Road and Independence, which is right before this merge craziness. Well, if you're on Independence or if you're on Bonnie and Bonnie Road, you see that Bonnie Road, you turn left off of Bonnie onto Independence. Well, there are multiple lanes that turn left in. You can't tell exactly which turn lane you should turn in to go to the interstate, turn to go straight. It's hard to tell. And so you have to try and read the lines, but then you also sometimes guess wrong, so you have to veer off. And then you have people that are already on Independence, so there's even more merging going on. And meanwhile, all the while, you can see the place you're going to. You can see it right there. It's like a half a mile away, and you can't get there because you're in the middle of all this wild ridiculousness. Anyway, I don't know how this can be fixed. I know someone that told me that there are engineers that have used this intersection in this area as the way not to design an intersection. That's how bad this is. And lastly, all of our local favorites, which is the Kempsville and Indian River Road intersection. So you've got two incredibly congested roads. I think this is possibly the most congested intersection in all of the city, mostly in rush hour. This road would back up in every direction, but mostly on the Indian River Road side headed towards the interstate on the west side. It would back up, I mean, for almost up to the interstate itself, which is like a mile-ish. And you just would be crawling through stoplight, people turning and then more people merging. It would just take forever to get like a mile down the road. The same goes with Kempsville. Not as bad, but still pretty bad on Kempsville. So the city had the idea of, let's change this and put some U-turns on the main roads. So the way it changed was, instead of you going onto a normal intersection where you turn left, go straight, or turn right, they had it to where you could not turn left in any of the directions. You had to go straight through the intersection and then make a U-turn beyond the light, and then turn right after you make that U-turn. You turn right, so it's as if you're doing an elaborated left turn. So they have those U-turn spots in each part of the intersection. That sounds, in theory, like a good idea because it's extending the potential places where traffic could build. This is the case except for one side, which is the Kempsville Road side crossing over Indian River. This side, you actually can turn left, but the problem here is that in order to do that, you have to cross over oncoming traffic, get to another little mini stoplight, and then go through that to the next stoplight, which then allows you to turn left. What's going on here? Again, I think this might have made sense more to people in theory. In addition to that, if you're on Indian River Road, you have to go and make the U-turn to turn left on Kempsville. There is a separate U-turn lane, but you can't tell where the lane is sometimes. So because people aren't used to this type of intersection and this type of driving, there's a median there between the turn lane and where you go straight. I wish there was some kind of a reflector there, because I know someone that actually got into an accident because of that median, and you couldn't really see that it was there. So I think actually, if the city's watching this, please keep that in mind for some sort of improvement to make sure that that median is labeled so that it can be seen, especially in nighttime. I'm hoping that eventually this gets better and people are used to it and it actually does work. I don't know if it will work. The city's committed, it's done, so we gotta figure it out. Now an honorable mention that I think is a great point too is the section of road between Laskin Road and Virginia Beach Boulevard on First Colonial Road. There are areas in here where you can turn onto First Colonial, which is an incredibly busy road, but there's no stoplight. So if you're in a strip mall area and you want to make a left or right turn, you can do that without looking at a stoplight. And it's one of those intersections where you feel like they may have had the right idea in mind originally with no light there, but it's one of those that just, I think, needs a light. People try and turn left across traffic on that busy road from these streets off of First Colonial, and I hope the city can maybe look at this and maybe put some attention towards putting a stoplight there. Not sure if it's doable, but if it is, I would encourage the city to check this out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.